There are moments in life that don't announce themselves. They don't come with warning. They don't give you time to prepare. They simply arrive. Quiet, ordinary. And then they split your entire life into two halves. Before and after. This is the story of Patrick, and everything he lost, and everything he never ever gave up. Patrick was not the kind of man who fell easily. He was steady, grounded. The kind of man who thought before he spoke, who showed up early, who kept his promises. The people who knew him said he was almost too careful with his heart, as though he understood, somewhere deep inside, that it was the kind of heart that, once broken, might never fully close again. And then he saw Muffa. He saw her across a room that suddenly felt too small for both of them. She wasn't doing anything extraordinary. She was laughing at something someone said, head tilted back, completely unguarded, completely alive. And Patrick felt something in his chest ignite that he hadn't even known was waiting to burn. He told his friend later, "I didn't decide to love her. It just happened. Like a light turning on in a room I didn't know was dark." They fell fast, and they fell hard. Mauve was vibrant in a way that made the world around her more colorful. She remembered everyone's birthdays. She cried at commercials. She made Sunday mornings feel sacred just by being in them. And when she looked at Patrick, really looked at him, he felt like the most important person in any room. They moved in together in the spring. Their apartment filled quickly with the kind of small, precious clutter that only two people building a life together can create. Her perfume on the bathroom shelf, his coffee mug with the broken handle she refused to throw away, the blanket they argued over every single night, and neither of them ever won. It was ordinary. Beautifully, completely ordinary. And then Mefo told him she was pregnant. Patrick held her face in his hands, and he cried. Not from fear, though there was that too. He cried because he had never wanted anything this much in his entire life. 9 months later, their son arrived. Patrick's father was in the waiting room when it happened, pacing, nervous, clutching a terrible cup of hospital coffee. When they placed that baby in the old man's arms, he looked down at that small face for a long time without speaking. Then, quietly, he said, "His name is Prince." It was the name of his own grandfather, a name that had survived wars and loss and generations of silence, a name that meant, "You belong to us. You are carried by something bigger than yourself." Patrick looked at Mafo over the baby's head, and she was already crying, and he thought, this is it. This is everything. Prince was 4 months old on the afternoon the world ended. It was a Tuesday. Patrick remembered that, because Tuesdays were his late days at work, and he always hated how the house felt slightly colder by the time he came home. The evening already settling in, the light already going, he pushed open the door, dropped his keys, called her name. Nothing. The apartment was clean, too clean. The kind of clean that feels less like tidiness and more like erasure, as though someone had been very deliberate about leaving nothing of themselves behind. He checked the bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen, and then he saw it, a white envelope on the kitchen table. His name written on the front in her handwriting. He stood there for a moment, just staring at it. Some part of him already knew. The way you know a phone call is bad news before you answer it. The way your body understands things before your mind is willing to. His hands were trembling when he finally opened it. The letter was short, devastatingly short. "I am gone. Do not look for me. Do not search for me anywhere. I just ask you to raise our prince well. You are a good man and a great father." That was it. No explanation, no argument, no final conversation, no chance to fight, to plead, to understand. Just those words, clean and cold as a door swinging shut. Patrick read it 3 times. Then he sat down on the kitchen floor, still in his work clothes, and he put his face in his hands. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside. Somewhere in the creche across town, his 4-month-old son was waiting to be picked up, not yet old enough to understand that his mother was gone, not yet old enough to feel the shape of what had just been taken from him. Patrick sat there for what might have been 5 minutes, or might have been an hour, and then he got up because Prince was waiting. He looked for her. Of course he looked for her. He drove every street they had ever walked together. He went to every place she had ever loved. The coffee shop on the corner, the park where they used to sit on Sundays, the little bookstore she always said she'd buy from someday. She wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere. He went to her parents. They opened the door looking like people who had already been broken by the same news. Her mother's eyes were red. Her father stood very still, the way men stand when they're trying not to fall apart in front of someone else. They told him what she told them. "I'm leaving. Don't look for me." That was all. No more than he had gotten. Her parents held no answers, only the same stunned, hollow bewilderment. They had raised her. They had loved her. And she had walked out of their lives with the same quiet finality she had walked out of his. Patrick went home. He made a bottle. He fed Prince. He sat in the rocking chair in the small bedroom with the yellow walls that he and Memphis had painted together. She had insisted on yellow. Like sunshine, Patrick. The baby needs sunshine. And he rocked his son to sleep. And somewhere in that yellow room, Patrick made a decision. He was going to stop looking backward. Prince needed him facing forward. The years did not move in a straight line. They lurched and stuttered. There were beautiful days and devastating ones. There were nights Patrick sat alone after Prince fell asleep and felt a grief so specific it had no name. Not quite abandonment, not quite heartbreak. Something that lived in the space between what was and what should have been. He never brought another woman home. Not once. Not because he had given up on love exactly, but because this house, these rooms, this life he was building with his son, felt too precious to risk, too carefully balanced to disturb. He wasn't ready. Maybe he'd never be ready, but he was there. He was always there. He was there for the first steps and the first words and the first day of school, where Prince clung to his leg and Patrick had to peel him off gently and promise, "I'll be right here when you come out, I promise." And he was right there. He was there for the nightmares and the fevers and the homework crises and the first heartbreak. When Prince came home from school at 15 with his jaw set and his eyes suspiciously bright, and Patrick didn't ask questions, just made 2 cups of tea and sat at the kitchen table until his son was ready to talk. He coached the football team. He attended every school play. He sat in the front row every single time, embarrassingly early, never apologizing for it. He was not a perfect father. He would be the first to tell you that. He lost his patience sometimes. He got it wrong sometimes. There were years when money was so tight that Christmas was 3 gifts and a prayer. And Patrick lay awake wondering if he was failing, if this child deserved more than what one tired man could give. But Prince never seemed to think so. Prince, who had inherited his mother's laugh and his grandfather's name and something of his own that was entirely neither of them. Prince looked at his father the way people look at something they have always counted as solid and true. They became something rare, a father and a son who were also, genuinely, friends. The scent of Mepho's perfume eventually faded from everything. Patrick never replaced it. He never tried. The day was everything graduations are supposed to be. June. Warm. The kind of sky that seems almost theatrical in its blueness. As though the world has dressed up for the occasion. The university grounds were crowded with families. Parents and grandparents and siblings. Everyone overdressed. Everyone emotional. Cameras out. Voices too loud. The air smelled of fresh-cut grass and someone's too strong perfume. Patrick had been there since an hour before it started, front row, obviously. He had worn his good suit, the dark one, the one Prince always teased him about. "Dad, you look like you're going to a board meeting." And he had a small South African flag in his pocket that he planned to wave when Prince walked across the stage. Fully aware that this was embarrassing, entirely unbothered, he watched his son cross that stage. Patrick, who had fed that boy bottles alone at 2 a.m. Patrick, who had learned to braid hair from a YouTube video because Prince had gone through a phase at 7. Patrick, who had worked double shifts the year Prince needed braces and never once mentioned the sacrifice. Patrick stood and clapped until his hands hurt, and then he felt someone stop beside him. He knew before he turned, the way you know certain things. In your body before your mind, he turned, and there she was, Mfo. Older, different in the small ways that years inscribe on a face, but unmistakably her. The same eyes, the same way of holding herself, like she was always half prepared to leave. She looked at him, the way people look at someone they have wronged so deeply that they've stopped expecting forgiveness. The crowd moved around them, oblivious. Somewhere across the lawn, Prince was taking photographs with classmates, laughing that big laugh, completely unaware. Mifo leaned slightly closer. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper, and she said, "Patrick, Prince is not your son. There is a particular kind of pain that doesn't announce itself immediately. It arrives quietly, slides in beneath the ribs, and then, only then, begins to expand." Patrick did not collapse. He did not shout. He did not make a scene in the middle of that sunlit crowd, with their flags and their flowers and their ordinary, unshattered happiness. He simply went very still. 18 years, 18 years, 18 years of 2 a.m. feedings and school runs and homework and heartbreaks and football games and empty chairs at the kitchen table where she should have been, and Christmases with 3 gifts and prayers and lying awake wondering if he was enough. All of it landed on him in a single second. And underneath all of it, the question she had left him with the first time: what did I do? What did I do wrong? Why did you go? Twisted into something new and more savage. Did any of it mean anything to you at all? He opened his mouth. He closed it. He looked at this woman who had once been the reason he believed in love, and he felt the ground tilt beneath him. And then he heard his son's voice. Prince had seen them. He was walking toward them across the lawn, with his graduation gown slightly askew and his cap tucked under his arm, and his face was cycling through something complicated. Recognition, confusion, the specific expression of a person who understands that they have just walked into the middle of something. He looked at his mother, a long, quiet look, the kind that contains a whole conversation. And then he looked at his father, at the man who had been at every school play, every 2 a.m., every fever, every first and last and ordinary Tuesday. The man who had worn a good suit today and come an hour early and had a small flag in his pocket. And Prince said, clearly and without hesitation, "You are my father, irrespective, and I am not going to listen to anyone else." He stepped past his mother and he put his arms around Patrick. Patrick, who had not let himself cry in front of his son since Prince was 7 years old. Patrick, who had held it together through abandonment and loneliness and years of being both parents at once. Patrick, who had given everything, without ever once asking to be recognized for it. Patrick held his son back, and the sound that came from him was not a word. It was something older than words. It was 18 years. No one can tell you what happened after, whether Mfio stood there long, or whether she slipped away into the crowd the way she had always slipped away, quietly, without explaining herself, whether there were more words, or whether the ones already spoken were the last necessary ones. What we know is this: a man loved a woman completely, and she left without telling him why. And instead of breaking, instead of growing hard or cold or bitter or absent, he turned that love into something else. He turned it into showing up every single day for 18 years. And his son, who could have been angry, who could have felt cheated by the hand life dealt him, who could have stood in that sunlit crowd and felt the foundation beneath him crumble, his son looked at the man who raised him and saw, without any confusion, "My father." There are people in this world who will love you because they have to, because of blood, because of obligation, because of what they owe you or what you owe them. And then there are people who will love you when they don't have to, when it's hard, when it costs them something, when they could walk away and no one would blame them. Patrick never walked away, and Prince never forgot it.